Hello everyone. It's Shauna here at the Manitoba Museum at Home. Very happy they're joining us for our awesome presentation today, Animal Adaptations. I hear my friend Corinne is going to be joining us, telling us about what animals eat, and I am so excited because I love animals, as you know. Remember, during the presentation, you can, of course, put questions into the chat, either on Facebook Live or on our Zoom webinar, and we will do our very best to answer you. So I am just so excited that Corinne is going to join us. I'm just waiting for her to join us, and it's going to be awesome. Corinne, are you there?
How are you?
Corinne, I am so happy to see you, and I am so excited to talk about animals today. And I heard that you're going to talk about what animals eat. Is that right?
Today we're going to look at what animals eat and how they eat, but this is part of a 5-week series. So we're going to be learning about animals every single week for the next 5 weeks.
Oh my goodness, I am so excited. I cannot, I want to know all about what animals eat. As you know, I love animals. So take it away, Corinne.
Excellent. So like I said, this is part of a 5-week session. We're going to look at animal adaptations and how they survive in nature. And the best part of this program is we get to take an inside look at our animal friends that have been locked up in the museum for the last 50 days. And so we get to see them at least by picture over the next few weeks. So I'm going to share my screen again so you guys can see a little bit of the PowerPoint presentation as we talk about our animal friends. And you may hear some crazy noises in my background. Those are just my children having lots and lots of fun. So here we go. We're going to share. And so for those of you who aren't familiar with animal adaptations are the way that animals behave, or maybe there are special traits that they have that help them survive in nature. And so each week we're going to look at a different animal adaptations and see how they survive. So today we're going to concentrate on food, because food is very important. And as you can see on my image over here is we have a food chart. Those are all the healthy things that we need to eat to make sure that we stay nice and strong and healthy. And we make great choices like eating fruits and vegetables. We also eat a lot of grains, and we eat protein to keep us healthy and strong. Now, animals also have to do this. They have to go and look for specific foods. And so foods that they choose depend on what they're able to eat. So the first group of animals we're going to look at are herbivores. And so herbivores tend to be animals or insects that only eat vegetation, so plants. So they'll pick things like grasses, fruits, leaves, vegetables. They'll even go digging in the ground for roots and bulbs. Now, nature is is full of these plants for animals to eat. So it's a little easier for herbivores to find their food as long as there's not a drought or it's not too rainy of a season for them to find food. So we're going to look at 3 different animal friends that we have in our museum, and we're going to look at what they eat. So the first one we're going to look at is the pronghorn. And as you can see, the pronghorn is in a display where there's lots of prairie grasses here in the background. And so those natural prairie grasses, those tall grasses, are things that they like to eat. So they'll eat things like right behind this rock is some sage. And so they'll munch on that. We're also going to look at one of my favorite animals who lives way up north, the caribou. Now, vegetation up in the north is a little harder to find, but you can see in the background there are these trees. Now, one of their favorite treats is actually not a plant like we would see growing on this rock back here. Lost my cursor. Right there is something called lichens. And lichens are something that grow on rocks. They're not quite a plant, they're not kind of fungus, they're not an algae, but they do fall in that plant category. So that's something they like to eat. And last but not least, this is actually something I saw in my backyard yesterday as we were playing around and getting our garden ready, and I'm so excited, butterflies. Butterflies like pollen off of the plant, so that makes them an herbivore. And the best part of them liking this pollen is they spread it around to all the different flowers in my garden, and some of those flowers happen to be things that will turn into apples or maybe cucumbers or tomatoes. So we're very thankful for them to spread their pollen around after they started eating and left a little bit on their toes. Now, some animals actually can't eat any plants. They actually need meat to survive. So the next group of animals we're going to look at is carnivores. Now, carnivores, on the other hand, they need to eat this meat. And of course, We prefer ours cooked compared to this photo, but they'll eat theirs raw. So the first one we're going to look at is the burrowing owl. And so owls like to hunt at night, and they look for small creatures like mice or snakes. So if you haven't guessed it, these carnivores are actually eating other animals. So this is part of the hunt, and this is part of that meat that they need. The next animal is probably the most ferocious one that lives here in Manitoba. It's the polar bear. And so he's big and strong. He's got a really strong nose, and he can smell those ring seals from under 5 inches of ice. And so he will go and use his big paws and crush that ice and pull out a whole ring seal to eat. Now, the great thing about this is that while the polar bear is a carnivore and eats the ring seal is also a carnivore and eats fish. So this is all part of this crazy food chain of animals eating plants. So it's a very interesting life cycle that they go through and food chain that they go through. Now, the next carnivore we're going to look at is probably one of my favorites because it's dainty. It's lovely to see in my backyard. And while it does bite and look for meat, luckily it's not looking for us. It likes to eat mosquitoes, which mosquitoes like us. And I don't like mosquitoes in my backyard. I don't know how many of you guys like mosquitoes, but I really prefer the dragonfly because I like spending time in my backyard without mosquitoes hovering around. Now, the next group of animals is actually where we fall into. Yes, we're an animal and we need food to survive. And so we are called omnivores because we can eat meat, but we also love eating plants and vegetables and grains. And as you can see from my lovely picture there, there's an assortment of food that we like to eat. And so the next animal is very much like us, the black bear. So the black bear, on the other hand, he is very much an animal who looks for opportunities for food. One of his favorite foods are berries, but berries aren't around right now in the spring. So he's got to find other food to find to eat. So he's gonna go digging in the ground because you know who's coming up and exploring the nature? Those little tiny ants. So he's gonna dig and eat those. He might also go fishing and eat some fish. So he's very much looking for food depending on the season. Now, the next guy we're gonna look at is kind of like us. When I'm hungry, I'm gonna open my fridge and look to see what interests me. I might look in my pantry, find some crackers, or I might look in my fridge and find some sugar snap peas. So depending on what I have around, this guy's very much like us, the raccoon. The raccoon will kind of go one day, he'll go strolling by the river and he'll find a frog, and that's what he's gonna eat for supper. Otherwise, he might go venturing in my backyard and find those cucumbers that are growing there. And if he's not as lucky to find anything on his walk in my backyard or along the river, he might go digging through our garbage looking for food. He just looks for any opportunity to find some yummy food. Now, we're just gonna take a little break, and just remember, for you on Facebook, you're about 30 seconds behind. Is there any questions from our people, our friends who are visiting us on Zoom, or anybody on Facebook who might have a question? I know that you guys are a little behind, so we're gonna give you a few seconds to catch up. And if we don't get to your questions, don't worry, there will be time at the end to ask your questions. And so I think we have a very quiet crowd today, and that's okay. Maybe I'll take this opportunity to ask you guys a question. If anybody want to share what their favorite animal is? So you guys can enter your favorite animal in the chat if you guys want to help us out. Maybe we'll talk about it over the next few weeks. Oh, we've got Ashley who loves foxes, and that's a great one. They're very cute. Excellent. Some great answers happening. Oh, we have a great question. My 5-year-old granddaughter wants to know if butterflies bite. So I think that butterflies have kind of a little bit of a mouth. So while they don't particularly bite humans, just because we don't have that same kind of food that they do like, I would assume that they don't have teeth. Shauna, maybe you can help me out with this one. I think you're still around. they suck up their nectar with their proboscis, so it's kind of like a straw. So they don't work that way. So yes, so the straw. And I should have known this because we do this in our toddler takeover. We have our little straws and we catch our food. Excellent. So yeah, so butterflies don't bite. Do most of these animals have one stomach? Cows have more than one. So some animals have 3, some animals have several stomachs, depending. My favorite is the owl. They have different stomachs, and so that's why when they eat a mouse, the different stomachs will slowly break down their food, and then they'll regurgitate into kind of like a little hair bar or a owl pellet. So they use those different stomachs to work the meat off of the bones and take all the substance while leaving the bones in their first stomach. So yes, several animals like the cow have more than one stomach, and an owl is another great example. So I think we're going to have to get to more questions in a little bit, but thank you so much for all those wonderful questions. And we're going to take a look at the animals' tools. And so I love how we asked about that butterfly question, and I was not thinking on the spot. The hazards of doing live programming. So now we're going to look at some of their animals' teeth and the tools that they use. So I'm going to show you guys a little video, and it's kind of laggy, but it's okay because there's no talking in the video. So we're just going to point out some things. So this is a skull of a beaver. And as you can see here, we've got some teeth here and some teeth at the front. And we're going to open it up right away. And so the back teeth over here and here, those are the teeth that the beaver uses to chew their food. So it's very similar to our teeth like this, especially those back teeth here. Beavers are herbivores, and so they use their back teeth to munch on those foods. So that's where we crunch our carrots and mush up that lettuce that we eat. But he's also got these front teeth. Now those are his working teeth. So he will use those to carry things, but also those teeth are constantly growing. And so those front teeth are kind of like our fingernail, and they have to be filed down every once in a while. So that's why when you see a beaver chewing on a tree and they don't take it away, that beaver is working at keeping those teeth short, because they don't want them to go too far. Otherwise, as you can see in my image right here, the beaver won't be able to close his mouth. So the next time you come to the museum, we actually have a beaver who didn't file her teeth down, and the tooth grew in and curved. And so just proving that beavers really need to chew on things to keep those teeth filed down. So I'm going to show you an image of the beaver hard at work. So you can't see those teeth that he eats with back here, those flat teeth, but you can see the working teeth at the front, and he's carrying a nice stick down to his dam so he can build his house. The next one we're going to look at is carnivores. So we use a big giant steak knife to get through tough meats. And so unfortunately, carnivores don't have that luxury out in the forest, so they need these sharp, pointy teeth. Let's start the video right now. Again, it might be a little laggy, but you'll get the impression of what it might look like. So we're going to zoom in here and look at those big sharp teeth. I'm actually going to stick my hand in there. It's okay because the wolf is no longer there, so it's just his skull left behind, so we can study it, and you can see those sharp teeth, kind of like a knife, that help them pull their meat apart. So there we have it. And so now we're going to show you the picture of the wolf. So there we have the nice female wolf, and she's going to show us. She's usually on display in the museum galleries watching over her pups. And last but not least, I'm going to put out a little bit of a mystery to you guys. And so I have this jaw that has been in our museum office forever. And we're going to take a look and try to figure out whose teeth these are. So I'm going to show you a little video, and I'm going to show you how long it is. This is my son's arm. He's 9 years old, and he's very tall for his age. And as you can see, his arm is as long as the jaw. So this animal has a very large snout. Now, this is a Manitoba animal. I'm going to see in the chat to see if anyone can guess what animal has a big snout. Now let's see if anyone can guess it. It's someone who lives in the boreal forest. They also have very excellent hearing because on top of their head, they wear these big giant antlers, and they can hear really well because it's kind of like cupping their ears. Oh, so no takers in the chat as what animal it might be. Oh, we've got one right answer. I'm going to give one more hint. We have a hockey team here in Manitoba named after this team, and it's not the Jets. So I think everyone's got the right answer. It is the moose. Now our mystery time is to figure out what they eat. So we're going to zoom in and take a look at these teeth. So those are the back teeth, just like the beaver. The beaver has those back teeth to chew their food. And then we have some work teeth at the front, and they use these teeth to pull in their food. So now moose lives out in that boreal forest. If you know what moose means, you might be able to guess what they eat. Does anybody have a guess? We're gonna just use letters for this. So if you think they're a carnivore, you can put a C in the chat. If you think they're a herbivore, you can put an H in the chat. And if you think they're an omnivore and eat both, so you can put an O in the chat. And taking a look at these teeth over here, really good hint is if they're flat teeth, they eat plants, so they're a herbivore. If they're sharp, pointy teeth, they are a carnivore. And if they have a bit of both, they might be an omnivore. So we actually have one great answer in the thing, in the chat. We do have the correct answer of herbivore. But if you guessed omnivore or carnivore, these teeth are kind of bumpy and they're sharp looking. This poor moose never went to the dentist, so his teeth kind of broke. So if you guess those ones, don't worry about it because we are just looking on the teeth and they're kind of hard to tell. Now, we're gonna go to the next one. Now, I just want to thank you so much for participating today. Now, taking this as a little bit of an animal lesson, I kind of want to make sure that you guys got something out of it. So I have a challenge for you. If you want to do it at home, you can share it with us on social media, either on Facebook, or if you want to send us an email, that's great too. But for you guys, I want you to think of the three animals, so carnivore, a herbivore, and an omnivore. And I want you to find three things that you can feed them. You can look through flyers and maybe cut out some pictures, or you can just kind of look in your fridge and just think about what you might feed them. So Shauna, welcome back.
Hi, I am so excited. And Corinne, what I'm going to do right now is I am going to find something to feed my three carnivores that I have at home right now.
You have three carnivores at home?
Cats.
What? Oh, I was just going to say, I'm like, do you have wolves in your backyard? Oh. But cats, you're right, those are carnivores.
I have wolves, but not. So I just wanted to thank everyone for joining us today, and thank you so much, Corinne. I hope you join us next week, Wednesday, same time, for more animal adaptations. And Corinne's going to be talking about predator and prey at that time.
Yes.
And presentation en français. Join us on Friday. Thank you very much, everyone.
See ya.